work in the admissions team here with MCPHS. Happy to answer your questions, so feel free to start asking them. And again, this is going to be recorded. I'm going to upload this as well as your questions onto the Instagram page after we're done here. So I'm happy to join. So the biology program, how's the biology program here? I've already applied and I just want to get some information. Yeah, no, happy to help. Our medical molecular biology program is great. It really depends on what your goal is. So, it's MCPHS is a healthcare specialized university. And so, for the students that are going into biology, many of them might be looking into the idea of going toward their medical degree, medical school. A lot of them might be looking at potentially getting into clinical lab science or running a research lab. So it really kind of depends on what your goal is overall. If you want to get into the undergrad, the research side of it, certainly you can join our undergraduate center for research, but in general, it's a medical molecular biology degree, and so it's going to focus toward the laboratory work, getting you into the hospitals, getting you with the goal of working towards usually medical school or like clinical lab scientist. There's a whole different variety of pathways that you can go with that, but that's basically what it is fundamentally. It's a 4-year degree, and many students will use that as a stepping stone toward medical school. But I do have other programs that might even be more efficient if your goal is medical school, specifically the pre-medical health studies degree. So let me see what we have here. When do early action results come out? So basically our early action application process has been occurring now. The first application deadline was originally November 1st, extended to November 15th. And so now we're working on the application deadlines for December 1st. So I'm always going to encourage students to try to do the early action admissions if they can, try to reach those deadlines and as to submit the application by those dates. And I should also say, if you're having trouble uploading any of your documents, please feel free to, reach out to the admissions team. We can always upload like a letter of recommendation for you. We can upload like the transcripts for you or whatever if you're having some trouble. But anyways, so we are now officially working on the application review, and so that is happening currently this last week, the week before, and so I should see the first round of application updates for admission going out within the next couple weeks. I want to say early December. Maybe second week of December, but I think we're aiming for the first week of December for the first round of application updates. And the nice thing about that is that the updates will be coming out pretty much every week afterwards. So if you are trying to get it in by December 1st, that's great. But again, one of the nice things about the early action application is that we will get back to you pretty early, which is good. Let's see here. Open house, I believe you're checking in at 8:30. Let's see. Went to one college for nursing as a freshman, finished one semester. So basically, if you have actually attended a previous university for nursing programs that you'd want to contact our transfer admissions team. I personally work with the high school seniors, so the first year students. So transfer students, we definitely work with transfer students, and it's gonna, I think it really depends on kind of what you've accomplished so far, kind of where you'd be starting off in the process. I know that for a lot of my first year students, I will advise that they try to apply as a first year nursing student because it is pretty competitive and it's a little bit trickier to get in once the classes have started, their cohorts. However, if you contact our admissions team, the transfer admissions team specifically, they can work with you on trying to go through the steps for that. They're going to want to get your transcripts, so they're going to want to see, what you've taken so far. And with transferring into the nursing program, because it is such a higher demand program, I think the students have to kind of technically fall off the program for spaces to open up. But the best thing you can do is just reach out to the transfer admissions team, and they can kind of coach you on what's necessary for basically completing that process. But I know that students do it, so I know that we have a pretty solid transfer process for all the programs that we offer. So it's really just a matter of just kind of going through those motions and getting the ball rolling there. Scholarships offered for working students. So, I mean, honestly, our scholarships are available for students that are admitted. So working, not working, that's not one of the factors. So for the students that apply that are admitted into our program, we're going to automatically screen them for our merit scholarship. So that's one thing. So the merit scholarship is going to be based on your grades. So when you apply, if you are applying as a high school senior, we're going to be looking at your grades 9, 10, and 11, and because you obviously haven't finished your senior year yet. So we're looking at those first 3 years, and your GPA off of that is going to determine what your merit scholarship is. For transfer students, they have other scholarship programs that are available. I'm not as familiar with them, but I do know that there are programs available, grants and scholarships. But working, not working, that stuff I don't think plays into it doesn't factor into our scholarship programs as far as I'm aware. In addition to the merit scholarship for students, we're also going to be looking at potential grants that are available, need-based grants and otherwise. So the best thing you could do is once you apply, and again to remind students, if you are a high school senior, please use the Common App. If you are a transfer student, please go ahead and use the MCPHS app on the website. If you've already submitted one or the other, then we'll go ahead and keep it as is. But in theory, that's the direction you want to go. And so then during the admissions process, we'll actually reach out to students who are admitted to go through all that financial aid stuff to figure out what kind of scholarships you were admitted for, let's see, etc. How hard is it to get into sonography? So here's the nice thing about MCPHS. There are no impacted programs, first of all. And so being a medium-sized school, we're not in danger of being overly enrolled for students. So that's a nice thing. What we don't want is students to come in and not have enough resources for them once they actually start. So that's a good thing, especially for sonography. This last year, we had a huge jump in diagnostic medical sonography, and that is working with the ultrasound folks. And so I would encourage, if you're going to apply to sonography, try to do it during the early action deadlines. That's not to say that if you didn't, you couldn't get in, but I'm just nervous that we may have another large year of enrollment again. And so there's a situation where if too many students are being admitted, we want to make sure, again, that you've got the resources once you start. So sometimes we'll stop taking applications for certain programs like nursing and diagnostic medical sonography. I haven't seen it happen in a while. And so the goal really, honestly, just apply early if you can. Try to put an early action application, and in theory, you should be good to go. Grades are very important, of course. GPA is important when it comes to all the admissions for all these programs. But at MCPHS, we have a holistic admissions process. So while we do look at the GPA and we do look at the grades and all that in your classes that you took, especially the sciences, we're going to look at everything. So essay is important. The grade, the letter of recommendations is important. The supplemental essay is important. So we look at all that stuff. So just keep that in mind. Submitted back in October. So if you submitted your October application and you submitted it as an early action 1 deadline application, then you should get it within early to mid-December is the goal. Some students submitted their application early before November 1st, but they selected the regular application deadline date or the second application deadline date. So if that happens and I see that it's completed as an early action before November 1st, but they just accidentally selected the wrong date, I'll go back in there and I'll update it to show us early action 1. That way I can get the update to you faster. So no worries about that. So if you did submit it under something other than early action 1 prior to November 1st, and you're kind of stressing about that, don't worry about it. We can always go back and change it on our end. And honestly, feel free to reach out to us in the admissions team. Like, we're super friendly and super available. So if you have questions, you can always contact us directly. I personally happen to work with all the students who are applying from the West Coast, from Central, from like the Mountain Time Zone, like Arizona, Nevada, Phoenix, all that area, New Mexico, etc., as well as a lot of the Midwest. But I have lots of my colleagues who also work with many of the students in the Boston area, the East Coast in general. So if you don't have it already, you may be receiving some information from a text message or an email, which introduces your actual admissions advisor who's local in your area. And so that's a great resource to reach out to if you have questions about, like, maybe you need some help uploading a document, or, maybe you have some questions about the program you applied to. I try to be very available for the students. And so sometimes I'll see something on an application where I have a question. I'll totally reach out to you and just be like, hey, let's chat real quick. Or maybe somebody applies to a program and their goal is to do this profession, but I have another program that's more efficient to get them there. I'll reach out to students and have the conversation. The nice thing is that we are pretty involved in the whole admission process. That's good. And I've got questions coming in, so I'm going to jump into it here pretty quickly. But I want to just go back to the very beginning to introduce myself. My name is Sam. I work in the admissions team with MCPHS. I work primarily with high school seniors who are going to start classes as a first year freshmen with us. And as a reminder, these Instagrams lives are recorded, and we upload those into the Instagram page, so you can go back and look at any kind of questions that were asked throughout the feed. But let's see. The normal medical diagnostic program and fast track program. So fast track typically means that you've accomplished some type of college credit in the past. So if you are a high school senior applying to one of these accelerated program, one of the sonography, for instance, you want to do the accelerated program. So MCPHS has a lot of 3-year accelerated bachelor's degrees. So meaning, rather than taking the traditional full fall, full spring, and the entire summer off, you'll take the full fall, the full spring, and a small summer term. You end up taking 3 terms a year, so you can graduate in 3 years. So that's the accelerated example medical diagnostic program. So diagnostic medical sonography is that program. The fast track means that you've attempted some classes in the past and you're probably going to come as a transfer student, which usually means you've got like 20 or more credits. If you're not sure, you can always reach out to us and we can kind of tell you what to apply for. If you're currently in high school and you're doing like dual enrollment classes, go ahead and still apply as a freshman. But if you've graduated already and you've taken a handful, maybe another year or two of credits at another college, you want to transfer in, that would be the fast track. Let's see. Yeah, so we accept nursing credits from those colleges. Yeah, so as far as transfer credits in general, we're always going to look at transfer credits and see what we can take. Grades are obviously important. Making sure the actual classes are relevant to what you're trying to take with us is important. So we match all that stuff up. We have a pretty robust application and transfer credit process. So, students will apply, they'll submit all their documents. We'll work with the transfer team to go through all those classes, or to relate it back to the high school students, maybe taking AP classes or some dual enrollments. We look at all that stuff. Typically it's in August usually, to get back to with what credits you've taken. But we look at all that, you know what I mean? AP credits 4 and 5 are accepted. And then dual enrollment, simply, if you've got a passing grade, we'll look at it and just make sure that it matches up with the classes that we take. So certainly there's an opportunity there to take those credits. We just got to see what it is. And so I'll give you an example. Sometimes, like, let's say a student wants to do like medical school, like they want to be an MD or a DO. And maybe they took like biology at community college or during high school, and they got like a C in the class. Yes, I could take that credit, but I probably would suggest not taking it. So because I want you to take it again with us, get an A in the class to make your medical admission, your medical application that much stronger. So little things like that we're going to kind of figure out as we're working together throughout the admission process. And again, that's what we're here for. That's what the admissions team is here for, is to assist you with that type of questions. When do you go? So to say, for a couple students are keep asking about the admissions updates. So again, early action 1 deadline updates should be going out within either the first or second week of December. I think we're aiming for the first week of December for the first a group of students, and we have a lot of applications that we're working through, and I have a lot of updates already. So we're aiming for the first week of December, maybe the second week of December, but it'll definitely be in that time frame somewhere, for certainly before the holidays. So we like to get out to students who applied early, updates early, just because I think that's a great thing. So we can talk with you, and then typically going into the second semester senior year, all the financial aid starts coming back. And so we'll usually reach out to you again at that point to go through some of the FAFSA results and scholarship information and answer all your questions about financial aid. Do you guys have an honors program, and how do we apply to it? Yes, we do have an honors program. You can apply to that starting sophomore year, and you'll get a lot of information about that as you start with us that first year. You'll see a lot of information about that. But so you can't apply to the first year, but moving into the second year, you could. Some of the schools within our university have information about that online. I believe the pharmacy program does have some information about that, but in general, you would just apply to that going into your second year, and they're gonna want to see how you did your first year, basically. Do we focus on the GPA and what GPA? So GPA is important. So during the admissions process, we are definitely looking at your grades for sure. The GPA is important. It's not the only thing. So we have a holistic review, and so when I say holistic review, I'm talking about like transcripts. I'm talking about your letter of recommendation. I'm talking about your grades overall. Sometimes students, maybe they had like a rough semester early their sophomore year, so I might see that, but I see some upward progression. We look at all that stuff. And on the actual Common App, there's space in there that you can actually put all that information in there. So like, if there's anything that you want to tell us on the admission committee about you, that you didn't say in your essay, that's not in your transcript, you're always welcome to add that information under the additional information section, which is in the Common App as well. So anything like that, you can always talk about and explain more. But so the GPA is important, but I mean it's one factor of a lot of factors, basically. We are test optional, so if you've taken the SAT and you scored well on it, then you're certainly welcome to include it in there. All of our programs are pretty much designed to help you go in from the very beginning, from ground up, basically. So you don't have to take the SAT, but if for the students that have done it, who've done really well, then you can certainly include that during your admissions process. And let's say your GPA is decent, but maybe you feel like you could have done a little better. If you take the SAT and you score high, add that in there, because that'll definitely help make the entire application stronger. It can help make it stronger if you feel like your GPA could be a little bit better. But again, that's why we do a holistic review, because we look at all that stuff. I will absolutely, take into account any kind of experience, any kind of like volunteer work, any kind of, like if you join like a medical pathway at your school, if you done any kind of CNA work or EMT, that type of experience, research, include it on the application. We look at all that stuff. So that's all very important. And many of my students have done that. I think it's a great thing. If you get a chance, you have the freedom to, go out and volunteer or help at a hospital, or maybe you have a relative who works in that field. You can work with them, or maybe you're looking at nursing and you want to go try to do like a CNA, which I believe once you're 16, I believe you can do that. So any of that type of experience, feel free to do that, pursue that, and add it to the application. And it definitely will add more to the overall strength of it. How do the summer sessions work? It's not the whole summer. So we have a variety of 3-year accelerated bachelor's degree programs. Example, dental hygiene, nursing, magnetic resonance imaging, nuclear medical technology, diagnostic medical sonography, radiography. So these are 3-year accelerated degrees. You basically are taking classes during the fall and the summer, during the fall and the spring, and the summertime. The summer term is like 6 weeks, so it's a shorter term. So you still get a summer break. It's not a full summer break like a 4-year program. But on the flip side of that, because you're doing 3 semesters a year, you graduate in 3 years, which is pretty nice. And, at that point, start working, do your license, start working. And maybe at some point you come back and work on your graduate degree. But so a lot of the students are asking, like, is diagnostic medical sonography hard to get into? I would say the answer is no if you've got a strong GPA and you apply early. So, and when I say strong GPA, I mean, a lot of my students typically, it depends on the program. So some of the program students are at a very high GPA 3.0. Some students are sitting at 3.0. It really kind of depends on where you're at with this. I tell all my students, honestly, apply. You know what I mean? Like if you're into it, it's a free application on the Common App. Apply early, and I bet you we probably should make it. We'll be able to make it work. It's just that like so similar to nursing. Um, what universities don't want is you don't want to over enroll and have a bunch of students start with us and then have trouble getting classes, have trouble, getting access to the resources. We want to make sure as a university that the students that start with us have all the access to all those resources. So it's not necessarily, we're not in a situation of being impacted or anything like that. So as long as you've got a strong application, you should be good to go. But I always tell students, just apply. You know what I mean? And this last year we saw a really big jump as far as applications coming in for sonography. So if we have a similarly large jump in applications for sonography, my recommendation is that you apply early. So if you can, if you haven't already, try to put it in early action to December 1st, just to be sure. How's the diversity? Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. If you've not been to campus, if you've not been to the Boston area, the healthcare industry tends to attract people from all over, all different backgrounds. We have students from different countries, all over our country. So like it's a very diverse campus, and it's pretty awesome. I like the vibe on campus for sure. If you think about it, students that are trying to pursue something in the healthcare field, whether it's like a doctor, a nurse, a dentist, like the common thread is that you want to help people, right? And so there's definitely like a welcoming kind of professionalism on campus, which is really neat. But in addition to that, it's definitely a very diverse population of students. And we have like holidays that we celebrate. There's always lots of awesome food from the different cultural backgrounds. There's different clubs you can join. So I think that's a great thing. If our school is definitely strong in that area. The PA track, yeah. If you are considering something like a physician's assistant, then you should apply to our program. The PA program is very strong. The physician's assistant degree, it's a pathway, one of our pathways. So at the university, we have pathways where you can actually do your undergrad and your grad with us. So because of that, we can actually reduce how long it takes for you to finish. So the PA pathway is a 3-year undergrad. We take that last year, wrap it into grad school, 3-year grad, you graduate in 6 years. I believe the admission for students for the graduate PA portion, if you do a degree from somewhere else, is like 10%. So there's definitely a lot of incentive, and because our program is great anyways, but there's a lot of incentive for students to take our PA pathway and start as a freshman and work your way through, because it's a very strong program if you are into the physician's assistant. Students starting in the spring semester. So, go in with much availability. Try to embrace as much as you can. Try to navigate all the software, get used to all the systems. Try to find those resources. Just know that you've got people who've started a semester before you, and so. But at the same time, the students are all pretty cool. You can always ask for help. The teachers are really helpful. They have office hours. You want to certainly try to dig in and learn all that stuff as much and quickly as you can, because you will be about a semester behind. But coming in the spring is definitely doable. We have a lot of students that do that. And so just try to really go in and learn all the systems pretty fast. Make sure you understand all your resources. Talk with the teachers, because that'll help get you set up to kind of go smoothly moving forward. Housing work, guaranteed. So how does housing work, and is it guaranteed? So we guarantee housing for the first 2 years. In the past, it used to be the first year, so I'm happy to say that we continue to offer those resources for students. So we do guarantee housing for the first 2 years. It's not required, but if you want to live on campus, you've got some options. There's the traditional setup with a roommate and yourself, and it's a little more social because there's people all across the hall. You have a shared bathroom area. That's kind of cool because it's more social. The staff cleans the bathroom for you, so that's kind of nice. That's like the traditional setup. Then we've got a suite style where it's usually yourself and another person and 2 others, and you have a common space in the middle, kind of like the living room area. And there's another setup like that with a kitchen. So what happens is during the admissions process, Once some students submit their deposit, which says that, hey, I want to go to school here. This looks good to me. I've gone through the admissions process. I feel pretty good about everything. At that point, I'm basically considering you as a student of mine. So you'll start receiving all the necessary paperwork as a student with us. So, meaning like you're going to start receiving a documentation about how to find a dorm with us, how to find roommates. There's like a personality profile you can fill out so our student life team can match you up with somebody, or if you know somebody who's starting and you want to request them. It's all handled through the housing portal. So you'll get all that information once you put your deposit down. Because at that point, prior to that point, I'm working with all the admitted students who were offered admission. So now we're just getting all the questions answered and working through financial aid and answering all that stuff. But once you put your deposit down, at that point, it's like, okay, let's count this person as a student of ours. So then you start getting all the information as if you were going to be moving forward. And move-in is typically the last week of August. So we do guarantee you for the first 2 years, but not required. And you'll receive all that information once you move forward in the admissions process. So EA decisions come out early December to mid-December. To this university, you have to speak a lot of English. I mean, as a university in general, a lot of our classes are all taught in English. So you want to be comfortable with that. And if you think about it, like, a lot of because you're in the medical field, there's a lot of really technical terms. And so, you definitely want to have a comfort grasp of English just to make sure that you're going to do well with us in the classroom. And we figure that stuff out during admissions. If there's any questions about that stuff, you can always ask us and we can kind of go through what your options are to get that figured out. So early action comes out in early to mid-December. So one student said if their GPA is a little bit lower, okay, as a university, I want to try to help students, okay? So if I have a student who applies to, let's say, a PharmD program, it's pretty intense, the PharmD program. It's a good program. It's 6 years, you graduate 6 years, doctor of pharmacy. If there's anything on the application, maybe the GPA or the classes or something that makes you wonder if the student's going to do well with us, what I will typically do is reach out to the student and make a suggestion that they start with pharmaceutical science, which is a 4-year bachelor's degree. That first year is very similar. If they do really well, then they can just try to transfer in as a sophomore to the PharmD program. So I'm always going to try to work with students to try to make it work. But obviously, the grades are important. So you want to make sure that you're trying to do your best, especially in your science classes. Things like nursing and diagnostic medical sonography, some of those programs, we are going to look at your science classes, bio, chem, math. Those are pretty important over the overall GPA. Not a huge difference. So is there a big difference between out-of-state students and in-state school? Basically, I think what you're asking is there a difference for the applications coming in from out-of-state versus in-state? Not really. The simply being, if you're coming from out-of-state, you're going to be moving to Boston, basically. But the actual application process itself doesn't change. We still have the Common App. We still look at, your grades and your essay and all of that. So if you have any major concerns about that, you can always, email us or talk with us. But I don't think there's not really any difference there. The classes are all in person. A lot of our programs are designed to basically make sure you're getting a hands-on experience, especially because, again, coming back to the nursing program, sonography, let's say, I know a lot of students are asking about that. We want you in the labs on campus so that you're getting all that hands-on experience. Because for a lot of the programs, we actually get you out in the hospitals and do your rotations. We want to make sure that you feel comfortable and strong and confident going into those rotations. And so it's definitely more of a hands-on experience. There are some online classes, but those are more certificate type programs. For your bachelor's programs, those are going to be on campus. Somebody give a shout out to Jess. Yeah, my coworker Jess. She is awesome. I'm glad you all get to meet her. Actually, my whole team is pretty awesome. I like everybody's giving love to the admissions team. Awesome, that's good. I will pass on your messages to everybody when I'm on campus next. I work with all the students who are out of state. So currently I'm in Illinois, working with all the Chicago students, and I'll be out in San Jose. So I work with everybody who basically is not on the East Coast. But I will pass along your nice messages when I see them in the next few months. Amy, if you got an admissions letter already, then that is awesome because I am not familiar with that at all. Maybe you got a lucky one. Maybe you know somebody. Because I'm under the impression, and I work in this department, that admissions and updates are not going out until like early December. So if you received something earlier, then I don't know how that happened, but good on you. Just reach out to the admissions team, just make sure there's everything's good to go there, and make sure that it's us, by the way. Yeah, Luke is awesome as well. Good call on that. So you're stopping in for a visit to the admissions team to get a tour. So most of the time, if you're able to come to campus and like actually, so if you want to do a tour instead of a visit, most of the time what I suggest is go to the website, top right corner, there's a little visit button, click on that, and then you can actually schedule an appointment with us. It says like schedule like a one-on-one appointment, schedule a virtual appointment, whatever. If you go to the one with the one-on-one appointment, most likely you should be on a tour. They should be giving you a tour, most likely. There's some situations where maybe it's just like a financial appointment or like an in-person appointment, but by default, to build in your visit, they usually are going to take you on a tour as well. The one thing to keep an eye out for is, let's say that you're not local or you can only come out to campus once, you might want to come out during the admit days. So what we have is we have open houses, including one coming up this weekend. We also have in-person one-on-one appointments, like a tour, like this one student was asking. And we also are going to have admit student days. So there should be 3 of them. I want to believe it's in late February, like mid-March and like mid-April, where pretty much just like yourself, if you're admitted, go to visit one of the admit days. It's awesome. Like you see a bunch of students from the area who were admitted. So it's a chance to kind of meet like future friends or whatever, maybe a future roommate. All the labs are open. All the teachers are available, things like that. So I'm always going to suggest coming to actually visit the campus during admit day because it makes it more fun. That's pretty much it. Let me see. PharmD is a 6-year degree program, 2-year pre-professional, 4-year professional. For those students who are transfer students, by the way, sorry I didn't get a chance to answer actually a lot of transfer student questions. Sorry I didn't get a chance to answer a lot of yours because I mostly work with the first-year students. So please reach out to the transfer admission team. They're awesome, just like us first-year people. And they'll definitely help you with all that stuff to get through it. Other than that, I do see other questions. I actually have to jump to a meeting here right now, so I'm going to jump off in just a minute. Let me see if I can answer any last minute things. There's not really any online classes. There is, but they're more like supplemental, like graduate type programs. Very diverse community, which is nice. During the admissions process, keep an eye out. So let me give you a timeline. We'll end it here. So basically, during the admissions process, right now we're working on applications. Those updates should be going out here anytime now, and I'm guessing early December. If your goal is to try to do nursing or sonography, please try to apply by the December 1st deadline. But anyways, that's the process here for application updates. Moving into second semester senior year, meaning senior high school, for all the students who are updating the FAFSA, we're going to go through all that with you. So I'm going to reach out to you for all my admit students, go through all the financial information, help answer your questions, figure out how you qualified, what's the merit scholarship look like. The goal of that time is just to break down the whole cost for you so you can tell your family and figure out like, what is this going to cost? What's this looking like to help you that whole process. And then once you're ready, if it's all good, then May 1st is the deadline to submit your application. And that pretty much concludes it. So we're there to help you with that whole process. Thank you so much for coming to me. Sorry I couldn't get to everybody's questions, but please feel free to reach out to us. I'm happy to help you. Take care, y'all. Have a good night. Bye.